Hey, it's Alex Allman with Revolutionary Sex. It's a nice, hot, humid day today in the Caribbean, and I thought, what better day to talk to men about masturbation on a day when I'm being eaten alive by the bugs. There have been a lot of changes since I was a kid in the way that young boys learn to masturbate, and as crazy as that sounds, something that's been pretty much the same over probably hundreds of thousands of years, has very suddenly taken a strange and dramatic change. And I think it is affecting men. I think it's affecting relationships. I think it's affecting the way that you make love with your partner. And it may affect your capacity to be a good lover. So listen up. On the plus side, masturbation is super important. Many doctors think for your health, your prostate health, as well as just becoming in touch with the feelings in your body and what erotically charges you, and coming to a healthy understanding of your erotic pleasure and sexual pleasure as a good thing and something that you can take command of yourself. And I think it's generally a positive thing. Where things have kind of flipped a little bit is, first of all, if you're single and you're masturbating just every day over and over and over again, what eventually happens if you don't end up in relationship is you develop certain patterns around the way that you achieve arousal and the way in which you achieve ejaculation that don't necessarily follow through when you're with a woman. I do hear stories now and then from my readers about men who have a lot of difficulty either getting an erection or even ejaculating when they're having sex with a woman because a woman's vagina isn't as tight as their hand is. They're not getting the same stimulation, they're not getting the same run up that they usually get or that they're used to getting in sex that they get with masturbation. I think that the thing that is really the game changer is internet pornography. You see, when I was a kid and I was learning to masturbate, a lot of it, if not all of it, was happening in my head. There was maybe a girl at school or an actress on TV that I would fantasize about. Maybe I'd even get a smuggled copy of a Playboy magazine and there would be some naked girl in front of me. And then from there, what would happen is I would have to create a fantasy in my mind in which I was making love to this woman, in which I was doing something with touching her, or whatever it was that fascinated me about it. And it would be me in my mind performing this action, which was setting up my neurological structures in the future for actually doing those things when I was with a woman. And of course, your first time with a woman, trying to do the things that you imagine doing to that Playboy centerfold are a little different. It could be awkward. Maybe it's not going to be the best sex it's ever going to be. But there's something wired up in you that you're the doer in this case. And the thing with pornography that I think is particularly dangerous, specifically in masturbation, which is, let's face it, pretty much what porn is for, is that what's beginning to happen for young men in these generations of guys who are probably below 35, who've grown up with their first sexual experience being with internet porn, and then over and over and over again laying down sort of neurological grooves in their brain of how they reach arousal and how they reach ejaculation, is no longer them performing an act. Instead of creating adventures in your imagination with you as the doer, you begin to develop this pattern of over and over again watching other people have sex, and you are not an active participant in that, not in truth and not in your fantasy or in your mind. And what begins to happen for these men, all too often I'm finding, is that your sexual blueprint becomes one of watching. And this is showing up in dozens and dozens of different ways. Probably the most common way is that for a lot of men, the stimulation that they're getting from pornography, the specific thing of maybe it's a variety of going from clip to clip to clip, or maybe it's just this passive watching and letting somebody else handle your arousal for you so that you can just kind of passively sit there and jerk it. What's happening is that for a lot of men, they're just not that aroused with women. And so I've got now legions of men as young as teens, 17, 18-year-olds who are emailing me, and you 17-year-olds aren't supposed to be on my site. But I have legions of men emailing me now in their 20s and their 30s who are addicted to Viagra. I've had men confide in me, men who are in their 30s who have been with dozens of women, who've been in long-term relationships and have confided in me that they've never made love to a woman without the use of Viagra or some other Cialis or one of the other pharmaceutical products out there to achieve an erection, because the only thing that works for them anymore is watching somebody else do it while masturbating. So masturbation has changed. Another common manifestation is men who can't ejaculate when they're with a woman. This was not something that was terribly common in my generation. Now it's become almost as common as women who can't have an orgasm with men. Another way that I'm seeing this showing up over and over again is men who have gotten so used to having their erotic turn-ons served up for them by other people who produced this porn clip, is that men have become much more passive sexually. They're less able to tell a woman what it is they want and then create that experience. They're less able to seduce a woman. They're less able to create this romantic environment with her and touch her and move her in the way that they want to move and tell her the things that they want to do, because what they've become adjusted to is a very passive sexual experience of just sitting back in a chair, flipping on the computer, and watching arousal happen for them. And of course, because healthy young men masturbate frequently, like maybe more than once a day, across months and months or even years and years of being single, a man develops these neurological patterns, and they're very, very difficult to break. So if you're a man who's experiencing some of these problems in your relationship, or in your relationships with women that you're dating, or even in your marriage, probably what you're going to have to do is either stop masturbating altogether or change your masturbation habits and create masturbation habits that are healthy and that support your relationship with real women. And you can begin to do that, first of all, by banning pornography from your masturbation. I know that's not a popular thing to say to men. I mean, pornography is fun. It's very, very entertaining, and it's very, very arousing. And you may find that for a while, if you're masturbating without pornography, that you have some difficulty. That's good. That's you slowly recovering. Now, you may find that when you're masturbating without pornography for the first time, that what you end up doing is fantasizing about pornography. You actually recall certain clips or pornographic scenes that particularly turned you on, and you try and bring those into your mind and then work with that. And that is clearly a symptom that your brain has been rewired into needing porn for arousal rather than thinking of yourself performing a sexual act. So what you need to begin to do, or what I invite you to begin to do, is to completely change the game and begin fantasizing about you seducing a woman, being in bed with a woman, touching her hair, breathing her in, kissing her, you doing these things, and find your arousal that way. You may find this to be a bit frustrating. I mean, you want to get off. That's the whole point of masturbation, and suddenly you've got this slow, difficult process. But I think you'll find that it pays off big dividends. And if you find that this isn't enough, or that you're not successful in arousing yourself this way, then I recommend banning both porn and masturbation altogether until your natural sexual function returns and you begin becoming aroused by real women in real situations again. And that, unfortunately, could take 2 or 3 months. And that, my friends, is the truth about masturbation. So I'm not saying ban the hand, but think about it.